Does anyone have idea about news agency? Have you heard about news agency? Yes, anyone? News agency? I think in your first semester you have dealt with news agencies.
Yes, ma'am. UNI, PTI, Reuters are news agencies, ma'am.
Yes, they are Indian news agencies.
They collect the
And
news, ma'am.
yes, exactly. They collect the news. They have their own reporters and they collect the news from all over the world. And what do they do after collecting the news?
They can give news
They
to some of
distribute to the
the
channels, ma'am.
Ah,
newspapers and agents.
yes. They distribute. And these not only channels, any newspaper organizations or individuals, it's on subscription based model, right? If they
Yes, ma'am.
subscribe, yeah, they'll get first hand information reports. You understand, right? What is first hand information? So they get reports and news from all the over the world. They have correspondents based in all the countries. It depends on like which type of news agency you're dealing with. Okay. Or not only news, they also provide pictures, photographs.
Yes, ma'am.
If you
News
ever see,
agencies also collect the new photographs and news, some of the statistical data.
yes, data, statistical data, and they also supply it to the government.
Yes, ma'am.
Research, it is purely research based.
Research based.
Yes. So if you observe a newspaper, if you see a front page article, front page write-up story, if you see a photograph and there would be a caption, right? So at the end, sometimes it will be written there, right? PTI, ANI. So what
Yes,
does
ma'am.
that mean?
The PTI, ANI, some other.
Yeah, it's a source, right? Source from PTI or ANI. That means they have taken the photograph from the news agency. The sourcing. So sourcing is also important here. Like if whatever news you take from the news agencies, that means you have to source also. If you're citing, you have, especially in newspapers also, you have to give reference source. Okay. So if we talk
Yes.
about, yeah, international news agencies, are you aware about any news agency, international? Like you said, PTI,
Reuters,
UNI, that are Indian agencies, right? Any international news agency?
Reuters is international agency, na?
Yes,
I think.
Reuters is very famous. Reuters. Then
BBC, ma'am.
yeah, BBC's channel. They also have their agency kind of a thing, in-house agency. Then have you heard about AFP, Agency France Presse? That is also very famous news agencies. AP, Associated Press. But
Yes, ma'am.
Reuters is very famous. So if you first, if you want to understand about this concept of news agencies, see during when we are discussing about during the times of globalization and the McBride Commission report when it came during 1980s, what was the scenario that time? See, many national news agencies, they exhibited signs of crisis at that time because post World War, there were the nations were uh, very they are at the verge of developing themselves. We had, I told you, right? World were divided into three types of nations. What are those? Underdeveloped, developing nations, and developed nations, right? So this was especially apparent in the developing world that time. Like India is developing world. Now we can say fast developing world. So a developing world, and also if we observe in the Central and Eastern Europe side, and also in many parts of the developed world, there were news agencies which were operating in the media markets. That means richest media markets in the sense developed nations. As Sirisha told BBC and you told Reuters, right? So these were operating from the richest media market in the world. That means developed world. And then after the World War, there was a crisis going on. So these agencies or these so-called nations, developing or underdeveloped nations, they encountered severe financial problems during the later half of the what we can say is after the globalizations, during the later half of the 1990s, we can say. So what happened after that? Many developing nations were coping up with all those crisis, financial crisis. Especially, they were taking the assistance or loans from the developed nations. World Bank, you know, right? What is the role of World Bank, IMF, International Monetary Fund? Have you heard about these organizations?
World Bank is funding to undeveloped nations and some developing nations, man.
Yes, yes. In order to why they supply funds?
Help the poor, ma'am.
Yeah, help, but is it for free?
No,
No,
ma'am.
ma'am.
They charge interest, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So
They lend money from the government.
yes, the government is liable for the payment. So with this not free, it is with interest as well. And where are these so-called World Bank or all these organizations who are aiding the poor or develop? We can't say poor, the developing or the underdeveloped nations. Where are they located? Mostly. Where is World Bank, IMF? From where they operate? Of course, the developed nations, right? These are the developed nations provide assistance to the developing or underdeveloped nations. So India is also in debt because we have taken so much funds, so much loans from the World Bank. Have you heard anytime? Have you seen in the news all these things? Why
Yes,
is India still not developed and still developing? Though it is fast developing nation, but it's still not developed. Why?
Because, ma'am, our government is receiving more and more funds from the World Bank, so it is under the debt. That
We
is
are borrowing.
crores of
Yeah.
rupees.
We are borrowing lot of money from World Bank. Even if you see the case of the banks, Indian banks, they are also indebted, right? So we still why we are on the verge of still developing country because we are indebted. We have borrowed so many funds, so many crores of rupees from the World Bank. We have to pay them, and not only this, there are other parameters also, right? Right? Education, employment. What are the basic parameters of is what are the basic parameters from which we decide
Ma'am,
whether it is no, the
unemployment
base,
and poverty level. Also, the poor becomes poor and rich becomes rich.
and another thing, education, education,
Education
employment.
also, some countryside people are not aware of this education policy. They're related to urban areas. But urban areas, they are developed through education, but they are not developed through employment base.
Yes, though they are
Overpopulation also had.
yes, yes, the rural people migrating to urban areas in search of greener pastures. That is also right. The competition have increased. There is so much of competition, and then in offline classes also, Sirisha, you remember we discussed like how this thing is affected people after getting educated. They're not staying here. They're going abroad for
Yeah,
further
ma'am.
education or for employment in search of employment.
They are applying their skills to international level, but not national level. Like most of our Indians in our
Why?
MNC.
Because our government are not providing the facilities for them, ma'am.
Yes, yes.
The
Facilitate.
basic not completed here. That's why they are migrated to the international basis.
Yes, that is also one of the thing. And See, I told you, right? Rural people also migrating here into the cities. So there are a lot of competition now. And what are the other factors? Healthcare.
Because of poor sanitation and unavailability of the medical surgical things and all, most of the Indians are also migrated to the international.
Yes, that's also right. Like healthcare, education,
And ma'am, one more thing,
poverty.
education, the education degrees also matter here because most of the NRIs are getting the lowest rate of education for the related to our Indians. So they are also migrating for medical education to the different countries like Japan and Australia, like that. So in order to get some education, at a lower price, like uh, like 20 or 30 lakhs, they will get the seat in medical. But in India, they are getting one like 80 lakhs or something like that.
That's also one of the thing. And then, like, what are the ways through which we can combat all these things, all these factors which we have discussed? What are the ways to combat?
And we should be united at certain area so that our thing matters and platform.
Sorry, Natasha,
Like
your
in
voice.
India,
I'm unable to
like
understand. Your voice is breaking in between.
yeah, ma'am, here we have history.
Okay. See, here media plays an important role, right? In order to create awareness, communication part is very important here. So here comes the role of, again, the international communication or global communication, in which journalist has the sole responsibility to communicate to the people, to bring into limelight, right? All these factors, which is often been neglected in the mainstream media. We have in the last classes also discussed how alternative media is used to bring into light all these issues, right? Which is being neglected or ignored by the mainstream media.
Ma'am, instead of focusing on the local issues, media should focus on the international issues, like the problem facing by normal people, so that they can concentrate to solve this problem which are faced by the Indians. Politics, like media should focus on the issues of development.
Yeah, in order to strengthen the democracy, the media should be strengthened first, right? See, earlier in developed, if you talk about the developed world also, the Reuters also sometimes, it had discontinued its services in India because of unpaid subscription fees. This is the condition here. It was long back, like when it started its operation in India, when we don't have, I think we didn't had any news, local or what do we call national news agencies that time. We were highly dependent on these international news agencies for the dissemination of news from, especially from the foreign countries. Okay, so we have to strengthen the media first. See, many national news agencies in the developing countries also, right now also, they continue to face serious difficulties. Why? Because lack of funds, right? In order to operate, they require certain fees, like if they need to hire journalists, reporters, they have to place them, right, in foreign lands. foreign, you know what are foreign correspondents? You're aware, right? Foreign correspondents.
I think they are the persons who are connections to with the local and national media so that they can transfer their information at the source.
Yeah, they are the journalists who are placed abroad for collecting news on behalf of the news organization. So they have to, you know, take care. The news organization have to take care of their well-being also, right? For their accommodation, for their stay. If they are hiring a foreign correspondent, it's a matter of financial thing, right? So many news agencies face this financial crisis, especially in the developing countries or developing nations. Forget about the underdeveloped nations. They still are dependent on these international news agencies for their, share of news. So right now there are more than 100 news agencies all around the world because every country have started their own local or national news agencies now. Okay. And some nations, they jointly own news agencies. They are they are jointly or partial ownership with the media conglomerates. Like they are some of them are operated by newspaper agencies, or we can say news channels. You are aware of media conglomerates, right? Person, you know what is media conglomerate? Person owning more than one type of media.
Ma'am, that person have connections of different media channels so that they can avail the
Yeah, not only connection, they have one stake.
content.
Like Ambani, he has stake, right, in Viacom, Colors. Rupert Murdoch, Star TV. They are big media conglomerates. They own different types of media. Different types of media in the sense they have a stake in newspapers, news channels,
They are having
and other
entertainment
stuff related to
publications also.
telecommunication. Yeah,
Ma'am, apart from news, and they are having running the film
other businesses. Yes, yes.
something entertainment related, which is having different scopes, like a different stage level. Depends on the ages of the persons, they will lead the media. Some will have the interest in the news, and youngsters will fetch by entertainment channels, and women will be for these daily soaps. So they are controlling this media so that
Yeah,
they
they are.
can get audience.
So can you cite some example, any example, if you know any media mogul or what we call as media conglomerate from India?
Ma'am, not sure, like the daily so far we can take now Balaji Collections now, and all is there, and some T series will be there, but it depends on different content like who's singing. And the news agencies also having different media.
See, one example I told you, right, can be Mukesh Ambani,
Yes.
holding different types of media. He is a media conglomerate. He has, I told you, stakes in Colors, Viacom. Have you heard about Viacom 18 network? Network 18 Viacom. It's a network of 18 channels, right? There are so many channels part of that network. Entertainment channels also like Colors TV, right? So most of the we can say most of the news agencies are under the influence of the governments in developing nations, but only a few agencies are autonomous in the sense that for example, Al Jazeera news, it's a news channel, right? They also have their in-house news agency, which is not controlled by the government. It is autonomous. As Sirisha said, BBC, it is also an in-house agency. It is also
Ma'am, CNN is also there, right?
no, CNN is a channel, but yeah, it's a example of conglomerate. Like the ownership pattern is media conglomerate. That means I told you, right? Different types of media who own. So CNN is just a news channel. They don't have any agency, in-house agencies also they don't have. So see, most of the news agencies are under the influence of the governments and also uh, the business enterprises. Mukesh Ambani is a businessman, right? So business enterprises of the countries in which they operate. I told you an example of India. So in other countries, other developing countries also, this is the same scenario. So it depends from which country they operate. So Reuters, so if we talk about Reuters is a very popular news agencies. And please note down, Reuters is very important question from examination point of view. Reuters. In short answers, you can expect Reuters news agency. Okay. Have you taken note? Reuters.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So it was founded in the year 1851 by Paul Julius Reuter. Okay. And it was founded in London. So this was when it was, initially started, it was like a family organization till 1916. Since 1851 to 1916, it was like a family organization. That means it was, I told you, it was it was not controlled by the government. So it was later, what happened was from the joint family system, it was privatized and then it was converted into a private company. And then it was sold to Sir Roderick Jones, who was appointed as its managing director. So Mr. Jones, he worked as MD until 1941. Then later, it started operating as a cooperative agency, which was fully owned by the British press that time. That means it was run by the government.
Ma'am, one of the media conglomerate is Sun TV Network, which is emerged as a leading media company.
Yeah, that's also an example of local, right?
COI, Times of India Today also, the Bharat
Yeah.
Times.
Several channels. Please cite all these examples.
Globally conglomerates are Walt Disney, ma'am. Like it's based on
Yeah, Walt Disney, Rupert Murdoch.
Warner Bros.
Yeah, Warner Bros. They're famous media conglomerates. So this is owned by big shots, or we can say bureaucrats. All these media companies are run by big bureaucrats, and they dictate the terms and conditions of the policies also of the organization. Okay, so Reuters is now a non-profit organization, right? It's how are the operating costs of this organization met? I told you, right? What is the subscription model based? Right? What is subscription model? How do media organizations earn money, earn revenue? One is through
subscriptions
advertising.
only.
Yeah. Other is through subscription. What do you mean by subscription?
Packages, monthly packages.
I mean, you have to pay certain fees every month, or it's either monthly or annually, yearly.
Based on our interest, we can get the media channels in a particular package as a form of subscription.
That means unless and until you subscribe to the particular media, you cannot access the news, right?
Yes.
Unless and until you are a subscriber, you cannot access the news. So subscription model, mostly news agencies are run through subscription model, not through advertising. That means once you subscribe, you will be given a username and a password. You have to log in and then you can access all the news. So these news agencies, and especially Reuters also, they give news to the press and other media around the globe. Other media in the sense, the news channels, newspapers, right? Sometimes radio also, they subscribe to these news agencies for the news bulletin. they are not private FM stations are not allowed to broadcast the news, right? But what is the channel which is allowed to telecast or broadcast news in radio?
There are many, ma'am. FM radio have many ranges, frequencies like 9.5.
Frequencies, ma'am.
No. I'm asking the private FM channels are not allowed to broadcast news, right? So which is the FM channel that is allowed? All India Radio?
Yes, ma'am. All India Radio, they are also not allowing their content to be.
No. All India Radio, they are allowed to broadcast news. Why? Because it is the government, right? The central government, government run. But private FM channels, still there is a debate going on. Is anyone aware of the present scenario? Talks are going on that private FM stations also be allowed to broadcast news, right? So that we have to see what would be the verdict. But can anyone say why is the private FM channel not allowed to broadcast news? Any idea? In your opinion?
Ma'am, repeat your question once more.
Why are private FM channels not allowed to broadcast news? Why do you think there's this debate going on, right? So what would be the reason for not allowing news? There are so many private channels who are allowed to air news, but why private FM channels are not allowed to air news? Any particular reason?
Based on analytics, channels can do well, but based on
they are only entertainment channel, madam.
Depends on the
Yeah. Yeah, their prime
channel
focus is
will be
entertainment.
broadcasting. Yeah? So, so viewers will be distracted, ma'am, if they are allowing to just broadcast the news and also the music now. So no one will get fetched by All India Radio. That's why they will have some boundaries related to this broadcast for not allowing them to diverge from one platform to another in terms of their viewers.
Yeah, that is also one of the reasons. Another one is it's a commercial.
For the news broadcasting, some accurate sources we needed, and the news will be changes time to time, and based on the time period, the private channel will not give that much accurate news. That's why it is also a misguiding of the people who are faith to believe on this channel. That's why the government has give some restrictions to the news.
Yeah, usually private FM channels are commercial in nature, that is for entertainment purpose, and government run channels are for public welfare, right? Non-profit. So there is a chance that there could be distortion of facts or distortion of news. Do you agree?
Yes, ma'am.
There is a high chance. Okay. So, as I said, Reuters is based in London and it has its offices located in New York, Paris, Rome, okay, Cairo, London, and Geneva. And if we talk about the nature of its coverage, then the coverage is the nature of the coverage is serious in nature. Like they don't cover much of entertainment thing, but it's in if you observe, the nature is serious, and also the medium of communication is only English because it's an international news agency. Of course, I told you BBC in-house news agency, it's definitely in English, but they also have the regional content also. If we are subscribing from India, we get to access information or news in all the regional languages, Telugu, Marathi, Gujarati, any regional language we want, we can access. BBC have that facility, but Reuters, it's only in English. Okay. Then we have another news agency called Associated Press. Okay. So it is the oldest news agency. It is based in America and it was founded in the year 1848. Okay. And earlier, when it was launched, it was known as New York Associated Press. Later on, it changed itself to Associated Press. The name is Associated Press. So, see the present Associated Press, it is the same organization, but as I said you, like the BBC's in-house news agencies, these also have operations in many nations. So this agency, they have more than 2,500 subscriptions from different news channels around the world. Not individual subscriptions, it's the subscription of news channels or newspaper organizations. And here also the language is English. And this Associated Press news organization, they have exchange agreement. That means exchange agreement in the sense they exchange news with other news agencies. Like earlier we had this barter system, right? Trade system, how we used to exchange goods for goods, like that. If any news agency, they want to exchange news with the Associated Press, they can exchange, okay, without paying any subscription fee. They can exchange news. They'll provide the news from this agency to the other agencies who are willing to share their pair of news. That is the system they follow. So these Associated Press have this type of agreement with around 12 countries around the world. Okay, fine. Any doubts? Associated Press?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Then we have another news agency. It is also very famous. Agency France Press, AFP. So this is also one of the important questions. Make a note of it. AFP, Agency France Press. As the name suggests, this agency had its headquarters. That means it is located in Paris, France. So this when this news agency was launched in the year 1835. So this agency had subscribers in most parts of European countries. Then later what happened was they signed a contract with Reuters news agencies. For this, I told you, right, the news exchange agreement. For news exchange agreement, they have signed a contract with Reuters. So from then on, the French government, they took this AFP under their control. It was very active in Europe that time, like when it was launched. So this is also one of the famous news agencies, and now it has subscribers in more than 15 nations around the world. So this agency also, sometimes they receive financial aid from the government. Because see, Paris government, the French government was that time was very capable enough to finance the agency. And here also the subscription based model is there, right? If you want to access the news from this news agency, you have to be a subscriber. Okay, then later in the year 1957, it was out of government control and it became autonomous. And then later this board was controlled by editors of various French newspapers. So they have also their stake in these news agencies, and they have nearly 3,000 staff around the world. That means, I told you, right? foreign correspondents who are located around the world to gather news. Okay. And AFP also, right now, they have also started their radio setup. That means people can subscribe to this radio channel also, where they'll be broadcasting the news. So along with Reuters, this is also one of the largest international news agencies, which gathers news and also disseminate news around the world. Okay. Clear about AFP, Agency France Presse?
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So next is UPI. UPI is United Press International. Okay. So it is located in USA and it was founded in the year 1958. Okay. Earlier, no, its name was United Press Association, UPA, United Press Association. And then later they changed the name to UPI, United Press International. Okay. So again, this is also subscription-based news agencies. Okay. And this is also a profit, that means profit-making organization. It's not under the control of government. It is also an autonomous organization. And here also there are a lot of newspaper organizations or news organizations who are the partners, the stakeholders. Okay. So at present, UPI has its subscribers in nearly around 80 countries. 80 countries around the world, and they have around 3,000 reporters who are based in foreign countries as foreign correspondents.
Ma'am, it delivers latest headlines, no? Like top news, entertainment, based on different field health businesses. That means United International means internationally it will unitedly keep the news related to health, entertainment, the headlines based on businesses, share market and all. And like that, they will give the news, right?
Yes, yes. See, at the end, see, if they are subscribing to any news agencies after the news, or you know what is dateline, right? In a newspaper, you know what is dateline?
Dateline means maybe it's related to the date.
Deadline, ma'am. Deadline.
Dateline, DADE, dateline, and yeah. Where you have a date, place, name of the reporter, or
For the particular place and particular time period, the accuracy of the news will be based on the dateline only.
yes. So here, there in the dateline, they mention, at least in the dateline or at the end of the news, they mention the name of the agency like AFP, Reuters. They source the news agency. They give reference. You have to source it, right? Though you are subscribing, you are paying and subscribing to the news, but still you have to give the reference or source.
From where it gets from where
Where
we can
they're taking the news,
the
right?
deadline.
Yeah.
Important information which indicate the journalist name, sometime or sometime agency name. From where we can extract the news.
Yes. Okay. So you have to source it. If you're taking the news from any news agency, you have to source it. You have to give reference. That you have to mention that you have taken this news from Reuters. Why? Because here credibility is also the main issue here. Because Reuters, I told you, it's very famous. The news is credible. You understand what is credible? Credibility of news?
Yes, ma'am. How accurate
Importance of topic, ma'am.
the news
Being
is
trust to
accurate.
believe, ma'am. Being trust to believe. Credibility means being trust to believe how much news is correct or false.
Exactly. Okay. So Are you clear about these news agencies? Any doubts?
Sometimes
Yes,
we
ma'am.
think trusted or believed based on the news. How public will believe on the particular issue. It's based on its credibility only.
Yes. The credibility is built through source, right? It depends on who is the source. So, I told you earlier there were only few four international news agencies that were existing in the country after the World War, right? Now we have local national agencies, but earlier there were only global news agencies. And after the report of McBride Commission, these global news agencies were criticized, right? They were accused of sending only those news to the media that suits their interests. And most importantly, they serve Western interests. Western interest in the sense developed world of developed countries, right? So they were, there were a lot of criticism, like incomplete facts. So it has been alleged that international news agencies, they do not give complete facts to their clients. Clients are the subscribers. I told you, right? The news channels or newspaper organizations are the subscribers of these news agencies. And moreover, such facts which suits the interest of the owners. I told you, media conglomerates. So if it suits the interest of the owners, only those type of news were circulated. Okay. So then again, next was bias. What do you understand by bias?
Something which is giving one-sided judgment or something which
Yeah.
does
Only
not
one viewpoint.
partiality it will be for some other person.
Yes. See, these agencies, they were criticized that they do not cover news with a partial viewpoint, like they were impartial.
Unfair,
That
ma'am.
means yeah, one-sided. The reporters were biased towards the subject. Subject means who were the subjects? The third world nations, the developing nations or the underdeveloped nations, right? They were very, like they were focused, or they were labeled as countries with poor and backward people. I cited the example of Africa in our offline classes. You remember, Sirisha?
Yes,
How
ma'am.
are Africans depicted in the media? How is Africa depicted? As very poor country, right? The people are malnourished. There are so many diseases.
These will
Yes, so they were, criticized to be biased towards third world or developing countries. And have you heard of something called as cultural homogenization or universal culture? Sirisha, in offline classes, we have discussed about this cultural
Universal culture we discussed.
universal culture. Yeah. What do you understand by that?
Worldwide human culture, wherever the people live, how they live and how they think.
Yes. That means we can say that it's a dominant paradigm, dominance of one culture, one single culture. We can say that, right? Dominance of a single culture.
Yeah, ma'am.
And which culture we are talking about?
Universal culture.
Western culture.
Western, ma'am.
Yeah. Can we say that cultural homogenization is the dominance of Western culture around the world? Can we say that?
Yes, ma'am, we can.
Yes. So this was also, cultural homogenization was also becoming common because of the of all these international news agencies who were dominating that time. Right? They were carrying They were biased towards the subjects, and their main aim was to create cultural homogenization. That means they want to popularize one single culture. And do you think they exceeded in their attempt? If you consider today's scenario, is Western culture dominant now? You talk about Indian culture.
Right now, Western culture is dominating in the Indian culture.
Can you give any example, like how? Like in their food habits? Any example can you give?
In India, we eat with our hands,
Yeah,
but in different countries, they eat with fork, spoon, etc. Ma'am.
So now also in India also it's the same thing, right? Indian food, Indian staple food has also been replaced by, yeah.
Yes, ma'am. Foods and clothes and all that, because the foreigners or the Western culture is adopting our culture, and Indian culture is adopting Western culture. They used to wear the types of clothes, and they are adopting the way how they eat, and what are the foods is, and they are importing foods and so many things.
Yeah. And what about the dressing?
It's not, you got to give it clothes and everything.
Yeah. Education?
Education is also they are adopting. Just like we can take an example of SSC in Indian level, but they are adopting like the CBSE, ICTE, like that, international schools and all that.
Yes, that is also one of the thing. And languages also, right? First language, second language.
Yes.
Now, if we observe in most schools, we have foreign language, right? Like French, German, Spanish. But rarely we see Indian languages, regional languages. Of course, we have Hindi or the one regional language, right? Like Telugu, whatever, depends on whatever state you are residing. But apart from that, have you seen any other languages being popularized in schools or colleges? Like how they are popularizing the Western languages like French, Spanish, German? Rarely, right? Or hardly we see. And we have seen Sanskrit also. Yeah.
Those are optional languages in schools, ma'am.
Just optional, but not compulsory, right?
Yeah,
very
ma'am.
rare. Yeah, very rare. Sanskrit also we do not have right now. Only few
In
schools
inter
or
only, they have Sanskrit language.
there are so many Indian languages that who are like on the verge of extinct, right? They're dying the death. They are not being used also. Last class also I told you, right? Marathi and few colleges and universities, they are expelling Marathi languages. Languages like Gujarati, Sanskrit also, we rarely we see. So this is the impact, right? On food culture. So do you think this is pros, like is it advantage or disadvantage? Is it a pro or con? The dominance of Western culture.
Disadvantage itself, ma'am.
Ma'am, sometimes it
Disadvantage.
will be pros, sometimes it will be good, but sometimes it will be very harmful for interference of the Western countries in our national matters or something like.
Okay. How okay, we understand how it is bad, but how it is good?
Based on globalization, they will keep their ideas, creativity, like some spreading awareness of the technology thing for in order to get the most powerful development, and also we can get the best connection purpose.
No. In terms of
It is also
cultural
good, but
aspect, is it good in terms of
in
cultural
terms of
dominance?
culture, their
They
involvement,
maybe
ma'am,
have
or their industry.
they maybe have a drawback with the languages, but for a communication and worldwide communication, we need to know about the languages, maybe foreign languages, because without knowing those languages, we cannot communicate with the world and we cannot attach with the world.
Yeah, that is also that is also one of the key factors. But dominance is not good. Talking about dominance, you understand, right? What is dominance?
Domination.
Yeah, ma'am.
Dominance is not good.
Supremacy, they try to show
It's good that you learn. Yeah.
they have the good quality, not others. So they want to rule on
Pronunciation and grammar, vocabulary is not equal for among us for them.
Okay, so it's both good and bad, right? Cultural dominance is both good and bad.
Ma'am, what are the things involved in cultural dominance? Like,
That's what. Food, basic things. Food, language, dressing sense, right? Cultural dominance. Indian culture, you know what is Indian culture, right? What it has been dominated by the West.
we used
Things
to do.
have changed now.
Yeah, it transferred to Western wears, and we try to habitate with this lifestyles of having the diet with low fat and all, with low spices and all. We are trying to just take the things from the Westerns, but not giving our things to Western countries. The cultural dominance seen in India only, ma'am, not in Western, because they don't prefer to just live as a traditional life like Indians. They only prefer their language first. They only prefer their lifestyle first. But we Indians are giving preference first to Western countries. So this is, I think, it is not right.
Is that is the sole aim of the Western countries or the developed world to dominate, right? To change the world scenario. You know what is pop culture, popular culture?
Right now, popular culture, you are asking?
In the term popular culture.
In what way, ma'am? Based
See,
on entertainment?
anything, any factor. That means pop culture is the
Yeah,
culture dominant. That is the same thing. One culture.
Famous in everywhere. Everybody is influenced by them, and the glass skin and all, the surgical surgeries will be there. The beautification of the world based on this pop culture only, K-pop culture, the living style, the dieting style.
Pop culture or popular culture is highly influential, right? Not only India, many other countries, many developing countries and underdeveloped countries are
They become very superpower, like they show their supremacy in every, like dancing, the entertainment industry, the lifestyle, everything. Wherever we can see, the social media is full of this.
yes. So not only in India, we find this pop dominance of Western culture or popular culture
Right now,
everywhere.
they are having public interactions with this farm and all. They promote their culture through live concert. They shows their living fashionable life as songs in the form of music, the rap system and all. They all are unitedly work on this so that their country will be known by everyone in the world.
Yeah,
Not
that means
only
this popular culture is not only in media, in different fields, variety of fields.
see, compared to North Korea, this South Korea is so much they are very famous based on their culture only. North Korea, they are always their rules and regulations they are restricted. This government will restrict the fashion industry. Everything is different. Like they are opposite mirrors, North and South Korea. But the South Korea have the influence on all the world, but except the North Korea. I'm saying these things are working in their world, in their country also, and also the sideways country also they are influencing.
So how can we stop the spread of popular culture or pop culture, the dominance of Western culture?
With
Yeah.
proper education and awareness only, because they think everything is living around them only, but reality is different.
See, okay, you're right. Education also, but do you think media plays an important role here?
A main role here. Educating means the media has to give some references, so through which the common people can get the knowledge of what is right and wrong. They should not follow this trend. I'm trying to say that media should not follow this type of strategy. We have to follow this hashtag trend right now. We are viral. Like something we are trending is there. That news will be supermost topmost headline only. Today's news is something like different things on music. The BTS is fan following is that. The first hashtag on Twitter is something which is not related to real world, but the imaginative world, like virtual media. They will focus on this thing. So media should have the consistency based on the reality and faction.
Here, the main culprit is media. Like media is the one who has brought into limelight the dominance of Western culture, or they have highlighted the pop culture. Like they have made it become famous. They have like Indian media organizations, like you have lot of reality shows who have adopted Western shows, right? I told you, Sirisha, do you remember in last class we discussed about Big Brother, Big
Yeah.
Boss,
Big Boss.
Idol? Yeah.
Khiladi is also there, ma'am, which is adopted from different Khatron Mein Khiladi Dekhe that is.
So now, you tell me who is the culprit here, who have highlighted the Western culture
Media
in
only.
India? Talk
Media
about in
itself,
India.
ma'am.
Media.
Media conglomerate strategy is built. Some views has to be taken based on the viewers' interest. They will make the content. They don't.
It's based on TRPs. Yes, yes. It's
It's the game of viewing, the game of TRP and the popularity. Right now it is a trending thing. Big Boss contestant, the person who is contested as a Big Boss stage show, part of stage show, but now they are become more valuable like celebrity. So this is the thing which our media put forward. These are not related to real world, but the virtual world, only the social media content.
yes, yeah, right. It's based specifically on TRPs just to garner the profit making thing. But how can media stop the cultural dominance? How can Indian media stop?
Ma'am,
What are the
right
steps?
now we are having one more thing. Met Gala event is there, no? So in that Met Gala show, the Indian traditions, the attire which is followed by Indian celebrities has been completely ignored, and the things which is like the Western members have came now, Met Gala contestants. They have become more famous. Like anyhow, they have followed the theme of the Met Gala, but the Indian actress who wore the Met Gala costume, they are highly ignored by international media because of this differences of the thinking. Like national India is a traditional. We should not think of them like that. So this is the media
That's
house.
that's the influence of culture. So that's
Uh,
what how can Indian media step forward?
They ignored, ma'am. What is good thing they ignored. The rubbish things which gave some more viewers. They try to focus on that only. If we highlight the Western thing, then the viewers will be more attracted towards this news. This type of thinking media is following.
Okay, very good attempt. So there are many ways where media can stop the influence of cultural dominance or the pop culture. That means we need to highlight our own culture, especially through media, and we have to stop adopting all these Western shows or Western movies which are there, taking our inspiration from just to garner TRPs. So there are several ways, and there are examples of so many movies, so many shows of Indian shows which are very popular around the world also, in which Indian culture is being popularized. That is also there, vice versa. So this is the thing. Media here plays a very important role in terms of internet communicating our values to the entire world. That's how
Ma'am,
we can reduce the influence.
ma'am, actually, myself, Yadagiri, madam, actually, this is the way who are entering into the MNC companies into the media. The social responsibilities they are forgetting. Only the TRP rate,
Yes, so
whatever.
the bureaucrats are the owners right now. I told you, no?
Yes, yes. That is the major concern is that is only, ma'am, who are aware of that political influence, and also MNC companies they is enter into the investments through this media channels, whatever the print media, social media, global media, whatever the worldwide, entire worldwide. Communication is most important rather than the currency. When we have to decide it, then only our culture, our these things will be controlled. Otherwise, it will be again there is a huge developing of the waste. So this is my opinion, madam. Thank you.
Yeah, there is a vested interest. You're right. So, because of the ownership pattern, right? All these media are owned by media conglomerates. So that's why this thing is there. The sole motive is just for profit making.
Yes, ma'am.
They're not bothered about their social responsibility towards the
Yes.
country, towards the citizen.
Yes.
Even if it is controlled by the government, then also they have their vested interest, right? If it is
But
controlled
they
by the
don't
government,
interfere there.
how? If they're controlled by the government?
Ma'am, if
Then it is possible, ma'am.
the government good things only shows by media, but not the government weaknesses. Like if it is run by government agency, then the good bronze side will be highlighted by media, not the coin side. Like every coin has a two faces. Huh? So downfall will be not shown by media, but the highest, whatever the highest features by the government, they all show these things.
Yes. They hide their shortcomings and they just want to glorify their policies.
They glorify, but not their downfall or how we are facing the international problems. They are not showing this. Only this inaugurations happens in this, and so and so different streams they are showing the good things.
They want to highlight their achievements and they want to hide their shortcomings. That's it. If it's run by the government, they do that. So it's the responsibility of the journalists who work for these organizations.
Ma'am, instead of responsibility, also some superior persons will not allow us to do promptly as we have to do.
I told you there is something called as alternative media where you are free, we are not under anyone's control.
That is the optional thing, ma'am. If we are designated at a particular post, then we have to also work as under pressure only. If work as a freelance, that is also not a
but we have other options, right? Other options. If you are working there, okay, you have to work under them, you can work. But later you have, after, if you want to really highlight, if you want to sensitize people, there are many other options. Alternative media. I told you, right? Last class. You can have your own YouTube channel. You can raise your concerns as a responsible citizen, not only as a journalist, anybody. I told you, right? Citizen journalism or participatory journalism. The same thing. So you have many other options. Okay, any doubts?
No, ma'am.
Are you clear about these agencies, news agencies?
Ma'am.
If you have any doubt in any of the topics, please let me know. So you have your next class at 1:30.
Ma'am,
Yes, ma'am.
explain about first world, second world, and third world.
First is developed countries, right? Developed countries like USA, UK, USSR, all these are developed countries. Second world in the sense developing countries like India. And I told you third world nations are the poor nations, underdeveloped nations. Mostly we don't use the term underdeveloped nations because it looks bad. So we call them as third world countries.
Developing.
Developing countries and underdeveloped countries. Third world nations are underdeveloped nations. India is developing country, fast developing country. Okay. And there are, I told you, so many parameters through which these countries are judged, whether they are developed, underdeveloping, or developing or underdeveloped. The basic parameters like health, education, employment, poverty, and also there is something called as happiness index. In the offline classes, we have discussed happiness index. Countries are judged based on this, all these parameters. So now you understand the concept of global communication, why it has emerged, the term transnational, international communication or global communication, why the reason why it has emerged, right? Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay, so shall I end the class? Any other doubts or any other discussion?
Right now, we don't have any doubts on the second one, but can we disturb you later on if we have any doubts?
Yes, yes, you can contact me anytime, any topic. Just go through the textbook, see whatever doubts you have. You can ping me anytime. If you have any doubts, we can discuss.
Okay, ma'am.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Yeah. Bye.
Bye, ma'am.
Bye, madam.
Bye, ma'am.
Thank you, ma'am. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.
MS भाई वकील साहब एडवोकेट साहब ఎప్పుడు కలుద్దాం म्यूट म्यूट पे है आप म्यूट पे है अनम्यूट करके बता दो ना म्यूट पे है म्यूट अनम्यूट करो ना भाई
हाँ अनम्यूट ही है
हाँ अभी अभी ओके ఎప్పుడు కలుద్దాం
ఎనీ టైం whenever you are say sir
నల్గొండ
బా నల్గొండ so okay so when you are coming to Hyderabad
next week
oh inshallah definitely next week we'll meet
where you are
I am at Hyderabad Santosh Nagar
it means major city
old city
okay old city Santosh Nagar
old city whenever you are coming to Hyderabad just make me a call or just give me a message I'll be there available
okay actually I'm working with Aditya Birla health insurance okay so you are completed right now you are doing advocacy no
exactly
okay actually I want to enroll my LLB also I was completed my LLB but I not yet enrolled to my